Hey, what's going on, guys? I just got back from my trip back home to Montana. I was working with my dad. I was trying to teach him basically how to run Logic, and he still had some questions that I didn't quite get to answer. But when I left, he wanted to know how he could send me something for me to mix from here. And I was telling him you could just send me the stems. So let's go over that. So when engineers say, I want the stems of a project, when you're an artist and you want to send it to somebody, what they mean is they want all the individual track outs, mostly dry. I mean, you can bounce some of them to have effects on them, but we mostly wanted them dry so we can do everything we need to. So I'll just go through and show you guys how to bounce stems, at least in Logic. I'll tell you the quick key to do it in Pro Tools and how to do it from my memory, but bear with me on that. Let's say we have an existing session that we want to bounce, right? So for me, I have all mine in my separate folder. So let me go into this one, and I'll find the one that I made out there, which was called Summer Leaves, I think. Yeah. All right, so this is my session of a beat that I made while I was out there. All right, so let's make sure if your audio is not working through your interface, this is how you would check that. You go to Logic Pro, Preferences, Audio, and see how this output device and input device are two different things. I'm using the Apollo Twin or the Universal Audio Thunderbolt, so I have to apply that. And since we're doing a mix, I probably would do up to 1024 because I'm not recording anything into this, you know what I'm saying? So we just want it at 1024 so we can have the most amount of, plugins as we possibly want. All right, so this is the session. These were just ideas that I had. I'll play the beat and then I'll show you guys how we can stem it out. Hopefully it doesn't blow off the ears. Alright, so what you want to do, at least in Logic's case, so I don't really need these right now, so I'm going to hide them. And to pull up your hide menu, like you want to hide some tracks, you don't want to see them, but you want to keep them, press H on your keyboard, and this symbol will pop up if you have hidden tracks. You hide those, boom, they're gone. So if that's orange, it means that tracks are hidden, you can't see them. If it's green, you can see them and they're hidden. Alright, so I'm like, alright, I want all this. I want these tracks to be exported as stems. So what I would do is click on one of these, hold shift, click all the way down to the bottom. So you have all of these tracks selected. Then you want to hit File, Export, and the 15 tracks as audio files, or Command E, boom. And now it'll ask you, like, where do you want to put these stems? I always go, so this is the session folder, right? And these are the bounces that I have. In the bounces folder, I would make a new folder and call it stems. Create that, and then just hit export. So now what it'll do is it'll go through each individual one, bounce it as a WAV file for the entire length of the session. So all of them should line up when anyone goes to open them. Once this is exported, what we're going to do is we're going to open a new session. I'll go to my stems and I'll show you guys how to import them into a new session. All right, cool. So it's finished doing the stems. So what we're going to do is we're going to close the project. Okay, so Logic is still open, as you can see in the corner here. So we're going to just new session. All right, so we're doing a new session. We're just going to make an audio file. We don't need input because you guys can hear me through the box. Basically, now that we have our stems, what we're going to do is grab them all and then you drag them in to the very front of the project, create new tracks, and you could say they're all stems from one project and hit OK. So now what's going to do is going to be like, oh, okay, so we're going to open all, boom. So as you can see, it would bounce them all so that when I play this, they should all play in the right time. So let's just go here. Yeah, so they're there, and they're playing in time with each other. The volumes, however, are all different, which is fine because, the mixing engineer is going to go through and he's going to level everything and he's going to do all that. So all you need to do now is just wait for it to get mixed, really. So if there's any other quick tips you guys want to know, I'm going to try to keep these videos under 5 minutes. But this is just a quick way to show you guys how to send your stuff to engineers when you want it mixed. And they tell you the term stems. This is what stems mean. All right, so the last thing when I said I was going to tell you guys how to do it in Pro Tools. I do not have Pro Tools on my computer because I couldn't get my version to work that I purchased a long time ago, and I don't want to subscribe to it if I already use Logic. So basically the principle is the same. In Pro Tools, what you want to do is select your region that's your longest, basically, or highlight in the grid the length of your region. Basically, you click and drag in Pro Tools and you create a highlighted bar and it goes across, and then you would basically just drag it all the way down to all the tracks that you want to be highlighted, that you want to be sent as stems, and then you hit Shift Option 3 on your Mac. I think it's the Shift Alt 3 on Pro Tools, or like on PC Pro Tools, whatever option, and is the equivalent as on a Windows. And it'll consolidate your tracks, which means it's going to make them all audio files at the specific length of the grid that you selected, and those will become your stems. You can open up where you saved your session. Hopefully you didn't save it to the desktop. If you have, that's a whole different thing. You just got to know where you saved your session that you're working on, and you go into the tab that says audio files, and you want to make sure that you can see the date modified on all the files, like in the column. I'll show you here. So if this is a Pro Tools session, right, basically you go to your audio files, you view as a list, and right here it'll be like the date modified. When you consolidate in Pro Tools, all of those tracks that you consolidate will all have the exact same date modified, and those ones with the exact same date will all be your stems as well. So you can just grab all those, you know, shift click up all of those ones, put them into a different folder called stems, and there you go. That's your stems. And then one thing I forgot, how to send your stem. So let's say you bounced it and you have all of the individual files like in here in a folder. What you want to do is hit Control, click on your stems folder, and hit compress. Or if you're on Windows, you right click and you hit, I think, compress the zip folder. It'll compress it into a zip folder, which you can send through WeTransfer. So let's just do this real quick. So now I got my stem zip. So I probably would rename it as the session. So I would say Summer Leaves 97 stems. And then you go to WeTransfer.com. So you hit I agree, email it to, like, let's just email it to myself. You want to click upload files here. You want to go into where you've saved your folder. So for me, it's in Beats from Stankonia all the way down. It's called Summer Leaves, and it's bounces Summer Leaves 97 stems. Upload. Boom. So they're going to upload in here. You email it to whoever you want to email it to. You put your email here, and then you would just hit transfer. And then that'll show up in their account or their Gmail or whatever as a zip folder they can download. Open it up, pull it in anywhere. Anyway, that's a overview of how to bounce stems and send them to an engineer to mix your session. I don't know if that was easy enough to understand it, but I'll do it again if it's not. Anyway, see you guys. Oh boy.